You collected a third fragment of silicon. One more and you'll be able to form a full silicon container.
Right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. It is our last show before the Thanksgiving holiday. So, joining me as always is the regular crew. And yeah, let's get to the news. Gollix, why don't you go this week first?
It's finally been cold today. Today's, I think, the first day it's gotten below zero, or below freezing.
I was about to say,
Celsius, whatever.
Jesus.
It was like 20-something degrees for a good chunk of today, so. Which, at least is seasonal. Although I think we might be getting a winter storm later this week, and I'm not quite ready for that.
Has it snowed yet?
No. But like I said, it might later this week. It has up north and in the mountains, but it hasn't here. I live right by the coast, so we get slightly milder temperatures than a lot of other places. Not too much interesting going on. Looking forward to seeing some of family that's coming up for Thanksgiving, I think, unless they have to cancel. But yeah, a lot of stuff. Not a whole lot going on for a lot of things. Still been playing Castlevania Circle of the Moon some, and trying to keep up with the new updates in Splatoon 2, which are interesting. I have not decided whether I am Team Guacamole or Team Salsa for this weekend, but I'm slightly leaning Guacamole.
I said guacamole is the better product.
I'd be more inclined to go for guacamole if it wasn't specifically for a chip dipping thing, because I like guacamole on a lot of things, but I've never really done it that much as a chip dip. So, but anyway, I will decide before this Friday.
Yeah, it's salsa.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, guacamole's more for your burritos and such.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, that's part of what I'm also leading. Marina is Team Guacamole, and Team Guacamole gets green ink, I think. So.
Also, the goddamn Chipotle charges $3 for it.
Yeah, it does cost a lot more extra than you'd think. I don't think it's $3, but I think it's like almost $2.
Yeah, something like that. It's absurd. So, meanwhile, you get salsa complimentary if you order chips usually.
Right. Because
who the fuck wants corn chips without salsa?
Right. And unfortunately, there's no Team Queso. So yeah, that's about all I got.
Anyway. All right, Petty.
Let's see. Hopefully they're going to be coming to a decision soon on my disability thing, because I got a letter in the mail with a disc that should have had the evidence they got from the various doctors, but the disc was blank. So I've contacted them to try and send me a new disc, so that's going to be fun waiting.
Like an optical disc?
Yes, like a CD-ROM.
Okay, those can't really get wiped, so...
Well, it has an encryption program on it, and I think they just loaded the encryption thing and not the files that they actually wanted to encrypt.
Yeah, that sounds like a thing that could happen. I was just gonna say it's not like an old floppy disk that got erased magnetically or something.
Yeah. Well, if it goes through a mail office with X-ray scanners, it can screw with it, but then the encryption thing wouldn't have even opened. And aside from that, it's been a pretty slow week. I mean, we had a little bit of snow this week. Not enough to really stick up here, but down south they got like a couple inches. And yeah, just been quiet and cold.
Twilight, you're up.
Okay, well, today I had to buy me 4 new tires for my car.
Oh
And
boy.
that's only because it's been like 5 or 6 years since I've got new tires for my car, and we're expecting some icy roads pretty soon. Yeah, it's been like raining almost all week, and we're expecting some freezing rain tonight. So
Oh,
That
so you had
sounds
to get
expensive.
the all-weather ones. Yeah. Good luck.
yeah,
Actually, that
Yeah.
reminds me, I need to get my car's oil changed or something soon.
mm-hmm. So yeah,
Cars,
there's
man, they
yeah.
wouldn't be worth it if they weren't so necessary.
Indeed. I remember some troubles I've had with my old one. That one pretty much died. Honorable death, I guess you could say. It'll last me for a good long time. Let's see now. What else? We had a meeting last Sunday at work, just about the holiday season and why not. That's all that important, really. Place for somebody who's been there for a long time. So, gaming wise, I bought Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 last Thursday and been playing through that.
You poor bastard.
I only intend to play the first 2 again, and what's the other important one? Birth by Sleep.
Man,
That's
remember
Yeah.
back when we thought putting a 0.5 on a game number was silly?
Indeed.
Oh, wait till we get to 2.0, my friend.
That's what I was referring to, yes.
Yeah.
2.8 and 0.2. Final
Yeah.
chapter prologue, birth by 357 over 2, and
And somebody's eyes just crossed.
yeah.
But yeah, I played the original first 2 back in the day, but I'm just playing through them again because there's like new scenes in them. And
Yeah, Final Mix has new cutscenes, and Kingdom Hearts 2 has you can fight the entire organization, the super bosses,
yeah,
and
there's
also Lingering Will. That's
I
going
was
to be a
ready to
fun
say
fight.
Lingering Will. Yeah, I've seen people fighting on streams, and no, I'm
Good-
not bothering with that. I don't.
Good luck fighting the hardest boss possibly in the entire Kingdom Hearts series.
Yeah, I'm not bothering with Lingering Will. And usually I'll be up for fighting a super boss, but I want to get to Birth by Sleep and beat it.
Yeah.
Then I'll probably fight him some other day.
Yeah, just make sure you don't pick Sword at the beginning like a dumbass, or else you're waiting till level 85 for a second chance.
You said sword?
Yeah, don't get Sword at the beginning. Get, like, I think Shield or Staff.
Good to know.
In the first game, I think that staff is the one that's the hardest to make, because staff gives you more magic points, and it's harder to get more of those, I think.
In Kingdom Hearts 2. I forget what the table is on Kingdom Hearts 1.
Oh, in one I remember distinctly reading that the staff is the hardest thing to replicate, although it depends on your play style, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it from me.
All right, I guess it's my go. Well, the good news is I'm finally over being sick.
Hooray, you're not dying.
That's good.
Yeah, took long enough. Like, it's like that cough would just not go away till it finally did. Like,
Until it comes
and-
back.
and yeah, that's about it. It's been quiet, so to speak. Weather, it's been warm here because Florida. And
At least it's not on fire.
no, it's too damp for that.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking humidity.
Like, I think you physically can't start a fire in the state of Florida. It's so damp.
Wouldn't surprise me. Like, there's a reason why there's no concern about fucking wildfires in this state. It's like,
Well, that and also it used to be a swamp rather than a desert.
yeah, the point of order is I think the outside atmosphere could qualify as soup some days.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so merrily we shall roll along to the main portion. We have no interview this week because things got shifted around, as so often it happens. Honestly, I think this is the first show this season where we've had no guests, and it's episode 11. Well, episode 11B. Got to mention that in the title.
I can fix that easy.
Anyway, so this week we are talking about Kingdom Hearts. Because, oh god, we can fill an hour with Kingdom Hearts, alright?
It's dense!
It's also because Kingdom Hearts 3 is just a couple months away.
Yeah.
It's February?
January, actually.
Yeah.
The end of January.
Like,
January.
they should be printing discs now, so if it's being delayed, it won't be by much.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't think I've heard it gone gold yet, but yeah. The
It
point
will.
is, it's, the not third installment.
God, what
it's one of
installment
those-
is this?
The third numbered installment, although I mean,
Well, technically,
It's
the
one of
fourth
those
number.
franchises that's developed the counting problem.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Because
Originally, they were sharing the same joke as Valve's not being able to count to 3.
well, also go back even further. How many versions of Street Fighter were there before Street Fighter 3?
a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, but it didn't take that long to get to 3. Like, Street Fighter 3 came out in sometime in the late 90s. Like, I'll be honest, I completely checked out on Street Fighter 3. Like, the cast so did not interest me, but this is about Kingdom Hearts.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yep.
the last numbered installment was 2005.
Yep.
Indeed.
And then the spin-offs happened, or rather, it's like
There was like one game between 1 and 2, 1 or 2 games between 1 and 2, but
There was
then
just one.
since 2 there have been a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, in fact, the next main game isn't 3; it's Birth by Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Like-
technically all of them are important to the canon because...
Right. Right, but you'll note that
Well, the canon
Yes,
is kind of different.
But I'll note that the DS games are so ephemeral they got regulated to cutscenes in the
Yep.
Yep.
it's like also the DS games were fucking awful.
Yes.
I didn't play Recoded, but I didn't hate 358 for the most part.
The point is, like, if there's an actual Kingdom Hearts 3, it is not Kingdom Hearts 3. It's Birth by Sleep, and everyone knows it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Was Birth by Sleep a Sora game or?
No, that was the prequel.
Yeah.
Okay, well then that's kind of why it's not. The three numbered main games are kind of the ones that are the most important parts of Sora's story, I think, is the idea. Because,
Well,
he's still the alleged main character, even though he hasn't even been in a lot of these.
Here's the thing: using Sora isn't a great barometer because a lot of the spin-offs have Sora. It's just they're fucking remixing shit. Like
Chain of Memories had Sora, but then he forgot everything that happened in it.
and that's what that's basically what 358 and Recoded go along.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
358 is Rox from basically him being picked up by the organization, and then up till the prologue, or the prologue of 2.
Two.
And remember, this all this all started out as, hey, what if we did like a Final Fantasy style RPG only with action fighting, and also the main character is going to all these different Disney worlds to fix problems there.
Yeah, that must have been a hell of an elevator pitch.
Yeah, that is incorrect. Because there was an actual elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Like this was literally an elevator.
Yeah, this was literally pitched to Tokyo Disney.
Yep.
But the game was being worked on beforehand. It's just, I'm trying to remember the details. Like, they determined that they needed a crossover appeal for some reason. That's right. I think that's because they were trying to make something in the vein of Mario, because Kingdom Hearts is very much an action platformer. Emphasis on the platformer, at least like in the first installment.
Yeah. 1 was the most platform heavy. 2 has some mild platforming, but then all the rest of it's more you're using your jump to evade damage and not maneuver, really.
And the reason why they sought out Disney was because, well, they were trying to think of something that could eclipse Mario in popularity. And like, apparently this is all before the elevator pitch. Like,
I mean, if you're gonna look for something to eclipse Mario, go for the biggest brand in history.
Well, that's basically what they did.
Yep.
And yeah, it's like it worked out. As Kingdom Hearts, especially Kingdom Hearts 1, it wasn't just let's get Disney. Like, Kingdom Hearts is the pitch is Kingdom Hearts meets Final Fantasy.
You mean Disney meets Final Fantasy?
Yeah, Disney meets Final Fantasy, because I think it's been kind of really forgotten now, but the Final Fantasy characters used to be rather prominent.
Indeed.
They were never super like story important, except for but there's like Cloud and Sephiroth are in multiple games as super bosses, and then on the island, most of the population, aside from the main characters, are Final Fantasy characters just living daily lives on an island.
Yeah, you would be incorrect about that, in the sense that the first one, it's like a lot of, like, I'm trying to remember what characters exactly were on the island.
Titus. Yeah, Titus.
Waka and Sophie.
Yeah, Sophie.
No, it wasn't Titus. Like, that was too, like, Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, it's like, because, like, for example,
not Squall, I think.
No, Squall was in Traverse Town.
Yep.
That I do.
Yeah.
And he's your point of contact there.
Yeah.
It's like the Final Fantasy characters were kind of important in Kingdom Hearts 1, and that's kind of my point. The whole Final Fantasy Disney crossover appeal was actually most prominent in the first game. It's like,
and even the later games, the characters aren't as important, but they still use a lot of. I mean, the magic system is still very Final Fantasy terminology, and
well, it's like Disney worlds keep hanging out there, even though like the whole Disney aspects kind of become tangential once Organization 13 showed up.
Yeah.
Like, though perhaps this is something that Kingdom Hearts 3 will rectify, given how prominent the Disney worlds are once again. Like, then again, they're actually allowed to do new things. Like, that's another thing that kind of separated Birth by Sleep and indeed Dream Drop Distance from the other spin-offs. That, like Dream Drop Distance actually had new Disney worlds. Like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, if I'm recalling correctly, was one of the worlds.
And they also went to the grid instead of just Tron's regular world.
Right. I mean, that was another thing that really hampered the spin-offs dating back to Chain of Memories. It's literally rehashing previous Kingdom Hearts worlds.
Yeah.
It's like you're dealing with Atlantica again. Agrabah again. The 100-acre woods again. It's like if you
some of those being this time it is/isn't a minigame collection, unlike the first time. Like,
yeah,
what wasn't Atlantica a rhythm game in the first one, and then in one of the other ones you actually get to like do more.
Flip that. It was a combat area in one and became a rhythm game in two.
Yeah, yep. Something like that.
Yeah. Point is, like, a lot of the spin-offs were really hard to recommend just off of content because, it's content you already seen. And honestly, by the time you got to Math Equation, it's like... because I honestly can't remember what is it, 352 divided by pi?
358 over 2 days.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Like, no, it's seriously one of the stupidest titles.
Indeed.
And that is saying something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of wish Ogre was here. He'd be ranting about that.
Oh, God.
Like, just don't get him started in, like, Dissidia.
Oh, God.
Anyway, like, once you, like, those spin-offs aren't actually all that helpful for getting you into the Kingdom Hearts games.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the lore is already stacked on so heavily. And, the reason, like, the selling point for the spin-off games was really more the new pieces of lore that were contained within.
Mm-hmm.
At least to the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean,
yeah, we already had our chance to beat Hades' face and, beat up Ursula.
I guess theoretically your first Kingdom Hearts game could be recoded or something, but ooh,
I would not wish that.
Some of them also don't play quite like the original ones, so
no.
And yeah, most of the spin-offs are just lore expansion stuff that is less useful if you don't know what the actual basic story that you're in a side story to is. Although,
honestly,
even then,
well, it's like, today there's no fucking reason to play any of the spin-offs that don't need to be played. It's like not with the whole, it's not with the Kingdom Hearts package. The story so far, whatever they're calling the PlayStation 4 edition of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like that's got the entire, it is literally the story so far. It's got remasters of the PlayStation 2 games. I think it's got the PSP game. It's got Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah, it has the final mix extended versions that didn't come out over here of 1, 2, and Birth by Sleep.
And it's got the new story bits that shows you what happens to Aqua. It's all there. It's like, strangely, it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive because Kingdom Hearts 3 is supposed to come out on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
And yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be the first time this series ever hits the Xbox.
Yep.
And, you know, there's no time like getting into a series like at the fucking end of,
Yeah.
of it.
Kingdom Hearts is allegedly the end of the Dark Seeker saga.
Yeah.
Whether they
Like-
continue the series from there basically depends how Kingdom Hearts 3 sells, if we're going to be honest here.
Like, it's like, I'm really skeptical that Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be the end of Kingdom Hearts, considering,
Mhm.
you know, like, this is kind of considered to be literally, it's like, when you're talking about Square Enix franchises, like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, then Kingdom Hearts.
Mhm.
So,
It's one of the biggest ones.
yeah, it's like, and clearly, like, even the spin-off Gravy Train's been able to, has sustained the franchise for literally a decade. Just keep that in mind. Like, Kingdom Hearts was being fueled by Birth by Sleep and Recoded and whatnot. Now, right. Anyway, so I'm gonna turn it over to you guys so you can fucking talk about the lore, because I'm like, the less I have to do with that, the better.
Yeah, honestly, this lore, it feels like the Kingdom Hearts was supposed to be like maybe 1 or 2 games and then go on to something else.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, it
then
does.
Square kept telling Nomura keep going.
Pretty much.
Oh, where to begin in this clusterfuck?
It's not the
So Mickey Mouse is one of the ancient masters of the Keyblade.
Mhm.
Yeah, fuck.
Just imagine that if you've never seen that before.
I guess we should probably start with where you should honestly start with the series, Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah.
Because if you try and start anywhere else, you're not gonna know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, it won't flow too well.
Yeah. Honestly, the story of Kingdom Hearts 1 was the simplest so far.
Mhm.
Basically, your world gets consumed by darkness, and then you wind up having a magic weapon called the Keyblade, which lets you...
Which is mostly a key.
Yes, it is a giant key that you use to hit things.
Mhm.
And basically, you're going on a grand quest to, I guess, slay the darkness and then try and get your home back.
Well, the primary mission was to find Mickey and find Sora's friends.
Yeah.
But the whole defeat the darkness thing was kind of part of it as well.
Yep. And yeah, you end up going through a whole bunch of, I guess, Disney-themed worlds. Like the first one there is...
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland, Olympus Coliseum, which has Hercules.
Yeah, the jungle, which is Tarzan's world. And
Yep. Let's see. There's Atlantica.
There's Atlantica. Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween Town, I believe it's called.
Yeah, Halloween Town.
And I think that's it for the Disney worlds.
Well, Monstro, the whale.
Oh, right, and there's also 100 Acre, but that's basically a minigame compilation.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're just basically running around through different worlds with Donald and Goofy for some reason. And then you're just kind of slaying Heartless and trying to seal these worlds off from the darkness with your Keyblade.
Yeah.
And then...
And the enemy are Heartless, which are what happens when there's a heart that doesn't have a body, because that's how Kingdom Hearts works.
Yeah.
I think we can blame 2 for that one.
Yeah. Like, basically, Heartless are supposed...
What we really blame for it is that a lot of the stuff behind why a lot of this stuff happens was literally decided afterwards. In the first few parts of the thing, we're just throwing stuff out to be cool, to sound cool, and then they filled it in afterwards.
Yeah. Because, like, the Heartless were originally supposed to be, people who've basically fully given in to the dark side.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of changed, in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that mess. But yeah, basically you're just going around all the worlds looking for your friends, Riku and Kairi, and then also Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
And then you eventually end up going to the quote-unquote world, oh wait, it's at World's End or something like that. I forget what the last world's called.
End of the world.
Oh, End of the
That's
World.
literally
Yeah.
what it's called.
Which that's basically what's left of all the worlds the Heartless have consumed.
Yeah.
And then you end up meeting the quote-unquote big bad, who goes by Ansem.
Mm-hmm.
And then after defeating him, you and Mickey seal the door to the darkness to potentially stop the Heartless from coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's really how one ends. And then
Yeah.
it kind of leads into Chain of Memories.
Yeah. You find Sora's friends. Riku gets trapped inside the dark world, or
Yeah,
what's supposed to be in Kingdom
he was
Hearts.
possessed by Ansem, and then
Yeah. And they briefly run into Kairi, but they get separated.
yeah. Well, Kairi ends up when Destiny Island, Sora's home, was essentially remade.
Mhm.
Most of the denizens of it were basically transported back. So that's kind of why Kairi shows up in the last cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
And then after all that, we kind of move into Chain of Memories, which that's for some reason an action card game.
Yeah. I
Not
think we're
sh-
gonna blame the fact I was on the Game Boy.
Yeah, this was originally
Color?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Color
Game
or
Boy
Advance?
Advance.
Advance, yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason why there's really a 3D game is because it was packed in with Kingdom Hearts 2, because people were really pissed they didn't know the story. Well, I guess I should say 2 Final Mix in Japan. We got it standalone like a couple years later in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what happens with that is Sora, Donald, and Goofy are kind of trapped in between the world of light and the world of dark. And in it, they find a place called Castle Oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, going in there messed with Sora's memories.
Yeah.
He forgot all of his abilities, and the further he keeps going into this castle, he keeps forgetting everything.
Yeah.
And also all of his memories of one of his real life friends that he was trying to find in the previous game has been replaced with this other blonde girl, and she has power over stuff, memories.
We'll get to Nominee in a minute, because that's another part of the clusterfuck.
Yeah.
And basically you're just kind of retelling the events of Kingdom Hearts 1.
Mm-hmm.
Only in the in-between areas you are fighting a new group called Organization 13. They are made up of what is called nobodies. Which
is what happens when a body has no heart.
Yeah.
Because Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, when someone who has a really strong heart loses their heart, their body becomes a nobody. And supposedly they don't have emotion, and they never were supposed to exist, and all that weird, crazy stuff.
The no emotion things is pretty plainly bullshit if you see
Yeah, indeed. I
at
was
all.
ready to say that.
Well,
I think only one of them really qualified for that. One of them, at least.
well, Roxas is a special case, but we'll get to him.
Yeah.
And basically, you're just kind of fighting the organization members there and trying to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you get to the end, and throughout you meet Nominee, who she has control over Sora's memories. And once you get to the end of Chain of Memories and defeat one of the organization members, Marluxia.
I think that's his name. Yeah,
Yeah.
he uses a scythe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sora's...
Each of the members of Organization 13 comes with a unique. It comes with a highly marketable black trench coat that you could definitely buy, and also a highly marketable and iconic weapon and elemental power set.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Black trench coat available at Hot Topic. I mean, wait, what?
More in his leather and belts.
Yeah, and zippers. Good God, don't forget his zippers.
Oh yeah, that's right. The zippers.
And yeah, basically after you beat Marluxia, Naminé is like, yeah, you're gonna need to go to sleep for a while so I can fix your memories, and Sora's story in Chain of Memories ends. But there's one
Yeah.
more story that happens, Riku's. Riku's in the
Yeah, there is.
basement of... Riku enters in the basement of Oblivion, and
Mhm.
he's basically going through there not only looking for Sora, but a way out of the darkness.
Yeah, because at the end of the first game, he was like possessed by evil.
Yeah, and he was also locked in the world of darkness with Mickey. So him and Mickey are
Yeah.
trying to find a way out.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically Riku is all but forced to face his inner darkness, and eventually it ends up with him gaining control over it. And then he eventually escapes. And then I don't remember if him working for Diz happens during it, or if that's like in the interim to Kingdom Hearts 2.
I assume it's like in between.
Yeah. But yeah, basically afterwards he ends up working with Diz to go get Sora's nobody, because during Kingdom Hearts 1, Sora got turned into a Heartless briefly, and a nobody was created. A special nobody named Roxas, who, unlike most nobodies, technically has a heart.
It's just not his.
Yeah, he had somebody from Birth by Sleep who we'll get to. He technically has Ventus's heart. Because, oh god.
We'll get to that soon enough.
Yeah. And basically, tangentially to Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days happens. And that basically shows what Roxas is doing. End of Kingdom Hearts 1 through to the prologue of Kingdom Hearts 2. Honestly, the only thing real important there is there's some character building for the organization members, and there's also kind of Xion.
Yeah.
But she was basically made to take Sora's powers because Roxas technically has Ventus's.
She's the 14th member of Organization 13 because counting is good.
Well, she's also kind of spoilers, but she's also a puppet. Because one thing that was discussed at Castle Oblivion is the organization has the ability to make replicas of people. Well, Xion was supposed to be Sora's replica. It didn't go over too well. Xion kind of got erased, but is still apparently technically important. Because, okay. And then
Sure, why not?
and then we move into Kingdom Hearts 2. And this is one of the things that kind of confused a lot of people because they didn't think Chain of Memories was important.
Indeed.
It is very important.
Yeah, it wasn't on the same system. It wasn't even on the same company's system. And it was just a little portable game. So clearly they couldn't have put a whole ton of plot stuff that mattered and like introduced a whole bunch of important characters in this.
So yeah, that's where a lot of the, people getting real pissed off with the plot comes from. Because none of the games are really optional lore-wise. I mean, you can get the lore from other places now, but back then, you couldn't.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
all we had back then.
mhm. So, in Kingdom Hearts 2, you start off as Roxas. And a lot of people were confused, like, who the hell is this guy? And then later, near the end of the prologue, we find out he's Sora's nobody, and he also has the power to wield the Keyblade, because he has basically Ventus's powers.
And he can
Meaning
do
he
two
has
because
two.
he's special.
Yeah, because
dual wielding is cool.
yeah, like supposedly
Oh,
that's
Ventus saying.
because of he ended up tapping Sora's powers at the end or something like that. It was
Yeah.
weird. And then after basically Roxas and Sora reunite, you start the game proper, where you are dealing with more nobodies. And you're basically off to go destroy the rest of Organization 13. Even though you don't really remember who they are because of what Naminé did.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the
Also, there are some members of Organization 13 who are already defeated, although apparently it's later revealed that defeating them doesn't actually make... I mean, because they're nobodies, sometimes when they die, they just go back to being the people they were before they got split in half.
I think it's if their Heartless was released and their nobody is defeated, the Heart and nobody can rejoin and create the whole again.
Which is super useful because, I mean, these are like highly marketable character designs. It wouldn't do to have them just die after they get killed.
And then you also find out your escapades in Kingdom Hearts 1 were basically for naught. The Heartless are still everywhere in massive numbers.
Yep.
So you're off killing Heartless and nobodies now. Though the coalition of Disney villains from the first game is defeated.
Yeah.
So, though Maleficent somehow comes back to life because reasons, and she is joined by Pete. God,
who at least has a long history as a Disney villain, although not usually one of the more serious ones.
Yeah. Well, he's not at all serious in Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, he's literally just a punching bag.
Yep. Nothing more of a Maleficent's underling.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how you get, like, the Steamboat Willie Keyblade chain thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then, basically, you're going on your, you're kind of doing something similar to Kingdom Hearts 2, only with a more defined purpose. You're looking for Riku and Kairi again, but you're also looking to stop Organization 13 from turning people into Heartless to make more nobodies. Because them increasing their ranks is bad.
Yeah. Though their ultimate goal is to create an artificial Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, to supposedly get their hearts back and it become whole, allegedly.
Because the title drop is an actual thing, although it's kind of a place thing.
It's honestly right now it's more of a concept, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't know what exactly Kingdom Hearts is, other than it was something that there was a massive war for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then throughout Kingdom Hearts 2, you end up going to a whole bunch of new Disney worlds. Like, you return to Halloween Town in Atlantica.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's one other returning world.
I think the Coliseum came back.
Oh yeah, Coliseum. Though you're going to a different part of the Coliseum now. You're most of that when you're in the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only time. That's the only time you actually party up with a Final Fantasy character instead of a Disney character.
Yeah.
Because in that one you party up with Auron.
Yep.
Auron?
I'm not sure how to pronounce his name.
I think
I'm never too
Orin,
sure.
but I'm not sure. I haven't actually played Final Fantasy X, so
Mm.
waiting
And-
for it to come out on the Switch now.
And yeah, it's like, and the new ones are the Pride Lands, which just showed up on stream.
So
Which-
you can summon Simba.
Well, Simba was a summon in Kingdom Hearts 1. I guess we
Yeah.
forgot.
Oh, I thought you got the summons after you completed the Disney World, so you only got the ones from that.
No, Kingdom Hearts 1 was weird. Some of them like, I think the only one you got from completing its actual world was Genie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Agrabah is another returning world. We totally forgot about that one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And yeah, summons, they kind of got overhauled, I guess, going back to Kingdom Hearts 1 for a minute. Summons used a limited amount of magic,
Yeah.
but they weren't all that great. Like, the only good one was Tinkerbell, because she gave you re-raise if you died and auto-healed you. And also, your party members didn't leave.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's one of the consequences.
yeah, she was the hands down the best summon in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Kingdom Hearts 2, they work off what is called the drive system. Usually the drives give Sora different forms. He has another dual Keyblade form with Goofy, where he runs really fast and jumps high.
Yeah.
oh yeah. I
And-
think we didn't mention this, but your hero's primary sidekicks are Goofy, who is a shield guy, and Donald, who is
Yeah.
a wizard. Because
Yeah.
yes, I definitely think of Donald Duck as someone who has a high intelligence stat and uses that to command arcane power.
For I guess in Final Fantasy job terminology, Goofy would be a sentinel, and Donald, it kind of depends. He's mostly a red mage,
Yeah.
if I'd have to classify him as anything.
And in Final Fantasies that are not 14, yeah.
Well, no, he's basically the archetypal red mage, because he can use essentially red or black and white magic.
Red Mage or Sage, yeah. And
Yeah.
Goofy is like a high-ranked knight. Sentinel is a later Final Fantasy game term.
Hmm.
But he fights with, he uses a shield. I think he has stuff where he can take hits for other people.
I think so, but he also has like basic healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the cover option works less well in battle systems where you're actually moving around than when you're just
Yeah.
kind of standing in a line, and it's really easy to animate the knight jumping in front of whoever.
Well, it's like Goofy in 2, if you can actually make him path right, when he's walking, he's auto blocking. So if you can get him just right, he can block an attack, and it's kind of hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And then all with the other drives, there is wisdom, which you get by using Donald, and you basically ride around on the air.
Yeah,
And
you're kind of
you
skating
have-
around the air.
It's kind of like flying.
Yeah, and you get the ability Quick Run, which is kind of a dodge. And then you also, instead of swinging your Keyblade, you shoot magic bolts. And you essentially have a higher level of magic, so instead of, like, Firaga, you'd basically be close to Firaja, I believe is the next phase.
Yeah, Ja is 4, and I think
Yeah.
Za might be 5, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and if you do Master Form, I believe you technically get the Za spells if you're at that level. And then Final Form, ooh,
Indeed.
yeah. Like,
It's
I guess with
powerful.
Master Form, it takes both your characters, it doesn't matter who it is. So it can be Donald and Goofy, or either or, and whoever that world's party member is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess it should be noted, you can't take the, like, Disney people to other worlds.
No.
So
Yeah, except for Donald and Goofy, who are your sidekicks, you're purely visiting those worlds and solving problems there, and you get them as a guest party member in those worlds sometimes, but they stay there when they leave because they are the actual people from that world, and it would be kind of bad if, to borrow one
Yeah.
from Kingdom Hearts 3, if, suddenly little Jimmy wants to go watch his copy of Tangled and Rapunzel's not there because she left.
or we end up taking Jack Skellington out of Halloween Town.
Yeah, that would be bad. I don't trust that mayor.
No one trusts that mayor.
But yeah, you get some of them as summons, which is temporary, but they
Yeah.
don't permanently leave with you.
Yeah. And there is also anti-form, which is kind of a drawback of you over reliance on the form system.
Yeah.
Because if you
turn to a Heartless.
yeah, you're basically turning into Dark Sora, and you can't be healed. You can't do the reaction commands, which I'm going to need to get into in a second. And you also, I believe, you can't leave areas. I know you can't revert on your own out of combat. That's the big thing. And you also don't really have much of a combo finisher, so it's hard to actually kill a boss.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
Going
basically
closer is to say it's really fast.
It's like you overheated now cooldown mode.
it's honestly more punishing than that, because you still can fight in it, but you're extremely vulnerable while you fight.
Yeah. Really, was the only good thing about
I guess I'm thinking of Mega Man 11.
Fast.
I guess I'm thinking of Mega Man 11, where when your gears overheat, you can only shoot one. Oh no, when you overheat from dual gear, you can only shoot like one bullet at a time.
Well, you move really fast and have really long combos, but in order to kill a boss, you need to use a finisher.
Yeah, the end of the combo.
Yeah. And I think some of his abilities have like a combo finisher, but you're extremely open, and you have no way. You really have no defensive movement options. And then we get to the best form in the game, Final Form, which it uses Donald and Goofy, and you get another dual Keyblade form, but the magic is maxed. You get Glide, and also the big thing is when you block or do magic, the Keyblades can attack on their own without input from you, and the combo strings are a lot bigger and flashier and more damaging.
Yeah. And your range is extended as well.
And you're highly mobile, because it's kind of like the move. They basically wraps everything together in a nice, neat package.
Yeah.
And Final Form also resets your anti-form thing. Though
the chances of entering it.
Though once you get Final Form, there's not a whole lot of reason to use the other drives except for maybe Wisdom. And then with summons, they also use the drive gauge, but and they also consume your party members, but they also level up on their own. And the more aggressive you are, the longer they can stay out. And with the new limit mechanic, which consumes all of your MP but makes you invincible, that's really interesting for changing the tide of battle and whatnot. Because all of a sudden you have, if you're in a fight with a bunch of dudes, you summon Genie, he can cast a lot of different magic, and suddenly, stop is cast, and then, things just start blowing up because he's Genie. Or Peter Pan is back, and with Tinkerbell, so you'll get re-raise again. And then there's Chicken Little for some reason. Like, I think it was, like, just coming out when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, but it's like, eh?
Man, that makes it
It
seem
was
even
one
more
as
long
well.
ago than.
And then, honestly, the battle system overall in Kingdom Hearts 2 is probably the best in the series. Because a lot of people think it's just mash X to win, but there's a whole lot of other, like, nuanced stuff as you get more
Yeah.
abilities.
And it's certainly more elegant than the card thing.
Like, you can use square to modify things. Like, the further you get in your combo, you can, like, pop dudes up in the air and switch to aerial combos.
Yeah.
And it just becomes, as I think honest trailers put it, hamster in a blender combat. Because yeah, it becomes more of a spectacle fighter, honestly.
Pretty much.
And then, oh god. And then basically, once you get done, you end up finding the nobody's hideout, inconveniently reuniting with Riku and Kairi. Plot
Is this when you have to fight one of like 5 characters called Xehanort?
Semnis, but yes.
Yeah, it's Xehanort's nobody.
Yeah, that's the person you fought called Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 1 wasn't actually Ansem. He was a nobody created from a man named Xehanort.
Actually, I think it's supposed to be his Heartless.
Yeah, his Heartless, rather. And Xemnas, the leader of Organization 13, and his nobody.
Yeah. Oh, another thing we didn't mention about Organization 13 is that everybody who's a nobody has a name that is their original name rearranged with an X added.
Yep.
Which results in some weird things.
Oh, God.
Like Xehanort is presumably no heart without the X removed with rearranged with an X, but he wasn't always a nobody, so
yeah,
it's a little unclear. Then again, Xehanort was already someone else before he was the one he is now, anyway. So,
and yeah, once
we haven't even gotten to the original Sky, Air, and Sea people.
Yeah. Oh, we'll be getting to them very soon. And then we get, once you basically get to the nobody's hideout, you meet a man named Diz, who is the actual Ansem.
Yeah, Ansem the Wise.
Yep. And what the nobodies have been doing is they've been having you and also Roxas destroy Heartless to release their hearts so they can make Kingdom Hearts to try and use it to become whole.
Yeah, the artificial Kingdom Hearts.
Yep. What Diz does is he basically uses a cannon thing to
like a laser cannon or something like that. I think it's trying to extract the data or something like that. Convert all the hearts into data form or something like that.
Something like that. All I know is it was stupid and weird, and he ends up blowing a hole in it.
Yeah, he weakened it, basically.
Yeah. And then in there is where you end up doing your battle against Xemnas.
Yeah, the long fight against Xemnas.
Yeah.
And the Kingdom Hearts, and it's this incredibly long fight.
But God, is it a show?
It is. I won't deny it was awesome.
Well, I mean, this is a Final Fantasy. This is a Final Fantasy adjacent game, which means big fancy boss fights.
You're cutting through buildings and.
Like, yeah, I wish I kind of could have recorded some of that because, oh God, that was a show. And then after you defeat Xemnas, this is where honestly I feel Sora's story should have ended, because He ended up
Yeah.
going back to Destiny Islands. He has Riku and Kairi with him. If they said this is the end, I would have been fine with that. Organization's
would I.
defeated. Kingdom Hearts is broken. You know, clap, clap, call it a day. But no, apparently Square Enix still likes money. And the next game in this series was released on the PlayStation Portable, of all things.
Hey, at least that's still Sony.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like people who didn't like Nintendo systems wouldn't have wanted to play the first spin-off.
Fair enough. But yeah, the next real major game in the series was Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. This one's kind of interesting because it takes place 10 years before the events of the original Kingdom Hearts. And you take control
But it's not Kingdom Hearts 0.
Yeah. Oh, we're not getting into that, are we? Because there is a Kingdom Hearts 0 that actually covers the Keyblade War, but that's a mobile game.
Although 0.2 is a sequel to Birth by Sleep, isn't it?
Yes.
So, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess that means Birth by Sleep is like 0.1 or something.
I don't know. Go ask Nomura. I don't even think he knows, but go ask him.
Yeah, he probably couldn't give a straight answer at this point.
Yeah. And yeah, you take control of Terra, Aqua, and Ventus.
Terra means earth, Aqua means water, Ventus means wind. This might be this is somewhat resemblance of the fact of Sora, which means sky, Riku, which means earth, and Kairi, which means ocean.
I could have never have guessed. Rolls eyes. And yeah, Terra and Aqua are trained to be Keyblade masters. Well, Ventus. Oh God, I feel sorry for Ventus.
Indeed, concerning his fate.
Yeah, he was essentially one of Xehanort's first guinea pigs. And is kind of part of the reason everything goes to shit.
Because he's a partial copy of someone else who is possessing him or something.
No, the thing with Ventus is Vanitas, who is, I guess, the one who's bringing out this game's version of monsters, the Unversed, come from basically the darkness expelled from Ventus's heart.
Sure, that makes as much sense as anything else in this insanity carnival.
Yeah, basically. Xehanort, who this is the actual Xehanort in this game.
Master Xehanort is.
Yeah.
Well, this is the one where you kind of find out why he looks the way he does in a later game too. So
the end of this basically shows why Roxas doesn't really look like Sora, and why people were looking at Ventus like, hey, is that Roxas?
I mean, I don't know. Roxas does still look similar to Sora. They have different hair.
Well, yeah, and like Ventus and Roxas are a direct match because, kind of spoilers, the ending clash resulted in Ventus's heart going to Sora for some reason. And yeah, basically, it boils down to Terra is kind of being moody and angsty because he can't control the darkness in him, and that caused him to fail.
And when he goes to the Disney worlds, he just keeps having to coincidentally end up helping the characters with something who, turn out to be the villains.
He literally helped Maleficent steal Aurora's heart.
Yeah, he just doesn't realize that the people he's kind of an idiot, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, he's naive is more like it. He doesn't tell the lady in the black cloak with green skin is kind of bad.
and can use the powers of hell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay not to judge based on appearances, but when she starts talking about stealing hearts and stuff,
I mean, for the love of God, when he went to Snow White's world, he almost accepted the Queen's offer to literally kill Snow White and take out her heart.
yeah, like I said, I'm not saying the first time. I'm saying that like maybe on the third time he would notice there's a fucking pattern.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know. If someone's telling me to go murder somebody, maybe I shouldn't trust them. And yeah, Terra's kind of, his story kind of sucks for him because his body ends up getting possessed by Xehanort at the end. And that becomes important later because he ends up being known as a young Xehanort because
He looks younger.
yeah, the portrait in Kingdom Hearts 2 is actually of, I guess, young Xehanort, Terra Xehanort, whatever you want to call him. He ended up going to what was Radiant Garden or Hollow Bastion or whatever you want to call it.
That's what Hollow Bastion used to be. Was
Yeah,
Radiant Garden.
and ended up studying under Ansem the Wise. And oh god, there's so much shit to go on just with Terra alone. Remember when we said this was dense? I wasn't joking. And yeah, and like Terra's, other than he meets a bunch of other Disney characters, I know we go to new places in some of the worlds, but I don't remember if we have like a whole bunch of. Oh wait, yeah, never mind. We do. We have Cinderella's world. We have Lilo and Stitch. We have Snow White's world. Crap. What other Disney worlds are there?
It gets a little bit weirder once they stop doing mostly fairy tale ones.
Yeah.
No, is this the one that Pirates of the Caribbean was in, or was that one of the other ones?
That was 2.
Yeah,
It
2.
started off 2 at least.
Yeah, and it was confirmed for 3.
Yeah.
Because realistic CG people aren't going to look weird at all standing next to a combination of both Disney cartoon people and also Final Fantasy anime people.
Well, they adjusted the shader in the Pirates of the Caribbean world, so it doesn't look that out of place.
I know it's still just a little bit strange,
Yeah.
though.
Well, in the
Unreal, likewise.
Yeah, the Unreal Engine helps with that considerably because both the Pirates of the Caribbean people and like Sora look like actual people. I mean, the Disney characters are still off-putting, but we'll get to that. As far as Birth by Sleep goes, going over to Aqua, she ends up becoming a master, and she's basically going to kind of see what Terra is doing because he's found out he's not done some very nice things. And I forget what all her main story is besides checking up on Terra.
I know she accidentally makes Kairi able to use a Keyblade.
Yeah. And Riku gets his Keyblade from Terra. And no points for
because they're characters. It's like it rhymes.
And no points for guessing where Sora gets his Keyblade from.
Well, I mean, it's from having Ventus's heart, but also
yeah,
I don't. Also, King Mickey sometimes pops up randomly in these things just to be badass, even though he still has the Mickey Mouse voice.
Yeah.
For that matter, Donald and Goofy are your party members in the main games, and they still have the Donald Duck voice, and Goofy still has his Garsh voice.
Well,
And
and
they're talking about all this fancy magic stuff.
and for some reason, Goofy's a smart one. That's what terrifies me the most.
It is.
Which is especially weird
odd.
because, the mage should be the smart one. Not
Yeah.
that either of them is known for making particularly intelligent choices in the things they come from, but
And yeah, with Aqua, it basically boils down to, in trying to save Ventus and Terra, she ends up getting locked in the world of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Birth by Sleep 0.2 comes in. Her journey through the world of darkness. Meanwhile, with Ventus, the reason why Vanitas, the person who can control the Unversed, exists is because Xehanort was trying to use him to forge something called the Keyblade, but instead of Key, it's an X.
which is the Greek letter Ki or Chi, Chi.
Yeah. So that experiment failed, and Ventus essentially got his darkness ripped out of him, and apparently Sora, before he was born, did weird things. It makes no fucking sense.
This is starting to sound like the Star Wars lore now.
Yeah.
Star Wars lore is fairly straightforward, mostly.
Well, I'm more talking about the expanded universe stuff.
Mhm.
I guess.
And yeah,
The Opal.
basically Ventus's story ends with him and Vanitas having one final clash and failing to create the Keyblade with an X again. And this time it ends up basically breaking Ventus's heart. Like, no, actually. Not like I'm
Also, the Keyblade is actually literally two Keyblades crossed, and then, like, from the point that they're crossed to the tips of the blade, like, they make, like, a normal laser blade thing.
Well, it's supposed to be what unlocks the true Kingdom Hearts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's weird, and to really go into it is going to involve going into Dream Drop. And basically, yeah, at the end of Ventus's story, his heart ends up going to Sora for it to kind of repair itself. So, and that's kind of where that ends up. And then, I guess also somewhere in there is Recoded, which, that one I honestly haven't played, and I barely remember anything from the cutscene things. It was so unnecessary, really.
I mean,
Mhm.
that presumes an awful lot about the necessariness of everything else.
Well, it's like, I think you were going through, it's another retread through Kingdom Hearts 1, kind of. Only different. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, not important. Just go watch the thing in, the cutscene thing in 2.5.
Yeah.
And then we get to the last full game currently, Dream Drop Distance. This Dream Drop Distance is where you play as, you switch between Sora and Riku, and you're taking your Mark of Mastery exam to become Keyblade Masters. Well, the test ends up going awry because, of course, because you were tasked to awakening what are called the Sleeping Worlds.
Sure, that's not something that sounds like it might cause problems.
Yeah. Well, Riku and Sora end up getting separated, I guess, through dimensions or whatever. And how you switch is basically one of the characters need to fall asleep. And this is on a timer. So there are times in the middle of combat you could accidentally switch to another character. And there's nothing you can really do about it unless you use an item called a Drop Me Not.
Like sleep as in the status condition, not like anything story based.
If you actually get put to sleep like the status condition, the timer will lessen dramatically. So kind of.
Okay.
And guess what a lot of enemies use?
Sleep. Sounds infuriating.
It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah, can confirm. So yeah.
It was trying to bring back that collectible card game thing.
Well, no, this with Dream Drop Distance, it uses the command deck style from Birth by Sleep.
Oh.
Where it's kind of expanding upon the magic systems for the various games, almost. Kingdom Hearts 1, you had really limited magic, but hitting enemies would slowly replenish it. Kingdom Hearts 2, when you ran out of magic, it would after a brief cooldown, it would all come back. You can use ethers to increase, to decrease the cooldown time or just get more magic. In Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance, all of your abilities were essentially in a deck, kind of. And every time you used one of them, that specific ability had a cooldown. So you could use magic as much as you want as long as it wasn't on the specific ability wasn't on cooldown or the combat abilities. And that carried over to Dream Drop Distance.
I see.
And you also get the I forget what the actual name, but it's basically kind of like a parkour thing where you can like jump off walls or poles and do high damaging moves.
Mm-hmm.
And you, instead of having Disney characters in your party, you have what are called spirits to help you fight the, I guess, monsters of this game called Dream Eaters.
That makes sense.
And yeah, you're
So how far does the drop? Because we're talking about a dream drop distance here.
Too damn far. And yeah, basically, Sora's story, he nearly gets corrupted by Xehanort and almost becomes one of his vessels to basically accept his spirit, which would turn him into one of his pawns. And luckily Riku saves him because, of course, he will.
He always does.
And then Riku gets named a master, and that's really all the really, really basic overview of the plot. Like, there's a whole bunch of other stuff of Sora's visions of the past trying to corrupt him, and just, oh god. So much shit. Have we mentioned the series is dense?
And sometimes you fly through space with Chip and Dale and a ship made out of candy.
Yeah, in 1, 2, and Dream Drop Distance, they have various mini games when you travel between worlds. 1 and 2 is Gummy Ship, which Kingdom Hearts 1 gummy ship is nigh insufferable, and I can't believe I put myself through that just to get footage. And 2 basically plays like a faster version of Star Fox.
Yeah. Much more enjoyable.
And then Dream Drop Distance, it really depends on which character you're playing as, what drop you get. Because sometimes it's, on rails boss battle. Sometimes it's a defeat a certain amount of enemies. Sometimes go through a certain number of rings. Basically, it's purely objective based.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe the last game that's currently out is kind of bundled with Dream Drop Distance HD, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep 0.2 Fragmentary Passage. God, for the title for the longest, longest title ever. Titles.
Isn't that the what about the final chapter prologue one?
That's what it comes in.
Okay, so it's
Yeah, the story so far.
And yeah, that's what has Dream Drop Distance HD, Unchained back cover cutscene thing, and the Birth by Sleep 0.2. And Birth by Sleep 0.2 is basically Aqua's adventures through the realm of darkness after she gets trapped there at the end of Birth by Sleep. And it's really short. Like, if they handed me that for $60, I would be pissed. Because it took me like 3 hours to beat it. And it's a glorified engine demo of what combat's probably going to be like in Kingdom Hearts 3.
I am not surprised.
And as story-wise, it's a story. Like, basically, Aqua's going almost insane with the whole not being in contact with other people for about 10 years.
Yeah, that'll do that.
And doing nothing but fighting Heartless. Heartless, who are already in the realm of darkness, so they just regenerate.
Is that why she's yellow eyes, possibly evil, angry in 3?
We think so. Because basically she meets a man in the back in a black cloak at the end of Fragmentary Passage.
Always a promising start on
You can always, I guess, assume it's Xehanort.
Yep. So it's very likely there is when she got what the kids are calling Norded. And yeah. One of the biggest things I hate about Fragmentary Passage is it's kind of retconning things. Like, apparently Aqua was there at the final battle, protecting Riku from the Horde of Heartless. But magically got sucked out before Sora and them would notice. And part of the reason why Mickey and Riku were still in the world of darkness is because Mickey was, unbeknownst to Riku, was still also looking for Aqua to try and get her out as well.
Because, she is a Keyblade Master, and there aren't supposed to be a ton of those.
Yep.
Although they are kind of more than they should be. Oh, and there's also some cell phone game or something, but I don't know anything about that aside from that it has evolving Keyblades that look kind of cool.
The cell phone game, it's free to play. The story necessary parts of it are in the Unchained back cover, I guess, movie.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want,
So you don't need to play it.
Yeah, but it is free to play on Android and iOS if you so desire.
Actually, I think service for it quit back in 2013.
I think that was just the web version. I think you can still get it the
Oh,
phone version because it used to be a browser game.
ah, yeah, I see that now.
And yeah, I
But yeah,
think
one of the big selling points is that there are tons and tons of different. Actually, there aren't actually tons and tons of different keyblades, but there are tons and tons of different keychains
yeah.
that can modify keyblades into forms based on all of the different Disney worlds and sometimes things from Final Fantasy.
Hmm.
And some of those look pretty cool.
Yeah, like Fenrir looks like an actual blade.
Well, Fenrir is based on the other kind of key. Most of them are the kind of key that like has a shaft and then teeth. Fenrir is like the kind of keys they actually use these days. I forget that. I think it's like a pin lock key or something like that.
Something like that. But yeah, if somebody came running at me with Fenrir, I'd probably run the other way.
And then some of them just like look rather impractical because they are a wing or like a candy cane.
Whatever the hell the one you got in Wonderland.
I forget which one
yeah.
that is.
It's the one that looks kind of like the playing cards spears.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Only they took the part and bent it 90 degrees and gave it a keyblade looking handle.
Well, I mean, it's a normalish keyblade with like. It's actually got all of the suit designs on it. The keychain is just a card.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a straight shaft and then the hooky thing because all the keyblades have these full square hilts, and then it's got a diamond at the very pommel. The cross guard at the top of the guard thing is 2 clubs. The tip of the keyblade has a heart, and then there's a spade turned sideways as the key's teeth. If that's the one we're talking about.
Mm.
Sorry, I haven't actually played most of these games, but I do like the designs of a lot of the stuff.
Honestly, if you can look past the bullshit in the story, the gameplay is solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially for the ones they actually give you the gameplay for in the PS4 collection.
Mm-hmm.
Like if
Mm-hmm.
the RPGs aren't that long, like I
No.
think 1 and 2 are both like 20 hours each, which for a RPG isn't that long.
Can be beaten in a week.
Yeah.
Probably. I know I beat 2 in a week.
Yeah. And like honestly, if you really want to get in on Kingdom Hearts 3, definitely get the story so far bundle. And once you play through that, you won't have any problems really getting the story.
Honestly, I probably would have played at least some of these games before, except for the, never owned a PlayStation anything problem.
Yeah. Like, and sadly, Kingdom Hearts 3 probably won't be coming to Switch, but there may be a possibility you can at least get the story so far thing. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely way up its own butt about the whole lore thing that it has going on, especially considering that, like I said, a lot of this stuff was made up later.
Yeah, this is a similar problem to Toriyama with Dragon Ball.
Yeah, Nomura has specifically stated that, like, was it at the end of 1 or at the end of Chain of Memories? He had a really long. There's like a ominous speech from one of the bad guys or something about a whole bunch of like clearly important
end of 1.
At the end of 1, yeah, and he's explicitly said that he had no idea what any of that stuff meant at the time, and he just like made it mean stuff when he was doing the next couple games.
Yeah. Yeah, all in all, Kingdom Hearts is fun. I would recommend it if you don't mind going through the slog.
Yeah.
Like, there are good games here, just the story. There's still so much we didn't even cover in this hour.
Indeed.
We haven't gone into much detail at all about the combat styles in the non-main games, which are certainly complicated enough.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we really.
No, I'm not saying we should now. I'm just saying that among the stuff we haven't covered.
There are other sources to get that more concise than here, because we would be here for
Yeah.
days if I went into that.
Yeah.
We're kind of out of time.
Yeah,
Indeed.
there's a reason why I admitted that, because I don't think I wanted to be murdered by Adam.
I'm gonna have to fall asleep.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts lore, all right.
Long and arduous.
Yep. Anyway, so we filled an hour and a half. Our job is done. And that'll do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Programming note, we are off for the Thanksgiving holiday as far as regular programming goes. I'm presuming Final Fantasy XIV stuff is going to be continuing as normal.
I don't know about Thursday, but Tuesday should be fine. Nobody's mentioned if we're taking that week off.
Yeah, they may have like no raid on account of raiding people doing Thanksgiving stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, I will I will ask in the Discord either tonight or when we all get together on Saturday.
Right. And I'm sure Petty will have holiday programming of some kind.
There is some more Birth by Sleep I need to do. Bang!
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Our first regular programming thing will be back on Black Friday. We'll be doing some Modern Combat. Modern Combat 5.
Do I have to?
Yes.
I know.
But that's a week, that is a week from now. So no Sunday reviews, no Tuesday or Wednesday show next week. But we will be back for Sunday reviews a week from this Sunday. And on that note, don't forget to, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. Seems like it's getting harder to do that for people because I suspect it's because the tag system on Twitch got overhauled.
Mhm.
So, it's like, usually it'd be a slow trickle of new people, but we'd be getting new people. That hasn't happened in a few weeks. So that's my best guess is what's going on there. So anyway, gotta mention the, like, click, and subscribe in Twitch terms. Because lost a couple people, nothing too concerned about, but, it's like... Anyway, on that note, I shall wish you good gaming.